Welcome Ultrawide fans, there's a ton of monitors that are new, announced, and rumored. So let's start off by talking about all the CES monitors that have come out in the last 6 months. First, in the 34-inch category, we have a more work-focused Dell UltraSharp UW3423WE, on sale now for $698.99, normally $919.99. It has a 3440 by 1440 resolution and only 60 Hz refresh rate, but it sports an IPS black display for better contrast. For connections, it has one DisplayPort 1.4, two HDMI 2.0s, and one USB-C with 90 watts of power delivery for single cable connectivity. It also has 5 USB-A ports, a USB-C data only, and an RJ45 Ethernet port for passing internet back to your computer over USB-C. Next up is the MSI Meg 34.2C QD-OLED. It is now on sale for $1,099, but currently sold out everywhere I looked. This MSI OLED is sporting a 3440 by 1440p QD-OLED screen with display HDR True Black 400 and VESA certified Clear MR 9000. With a 175 Hz refresh rate and a 0.03 millisecond response time and 1000 nits of peak brightness. As for I/O, it has 2 full bandwidth HDMI 2.1 ports, one DisplayPort 1.4a, and one USB Type-C with DP alt mode and 65 watts of charging, and a 4-port USB-A hub. The next monitor is the HP E45c G5. This monitor is what I would call a mini 1440p super ultrawide, with a more compact 44.5-inch form factor while still having the same 5120 by 1440p resolution. It is available now for $1,099. Despite its more productivity looks, it still provides a 165 Hz refresh rate and sports a VA panel with a 3001 contrast ratio, 400 nits of brightness, using an adaptive sync for variable refresh rate with a quoted gray-to-gray response time of 3 milliseconds. It has one DisplayPort 4.1a, one HDMI 2.1, and one USB Type-C connector with DP alt mode and 65 watts of power delivery. It includes an additional USB Type-C data connection, 4 USB-A ports, and an RJ45 Ethernet connection. Next is the Acer Predator X35. It is the latest of the 45-inch 3440 by 1440p 240 Hz OLEDs to be announced. It will achieve 1000 nits of brightness at a 3% average picture level, with a typical SDR brightness of 150 nits. It has a wide color gamut with a 98.5% coverage of the DCI-P3 space. Inputs will be one DisplayPort 1.4, two HDMI 2.0s, and a USB-C that only does data and power but not video. Available now for $1,699. With its near instant response times and the beautiful deep blacks of OLED, this will make an amazing entertainment monitor for gaming as well as watching shows and movies. Though if you're a work from home gamer, this will likely not be the monitor you want to get. The combination of its low DPI making text blurrier and more pixelated, plus the risk of burn-in, there are just too many risk factors for this product to use as a productivity monitor. Speaking of amazing 45-inch monitors, we have the LG UltraGear 45GR95QE. It is now on sale for the same USD $1,699 price as quoted by the Acer monitor, and the specs are exactly the same. Next up, we have the Asus ROG Strix XG49WCR, a 5120 by 1440p super ultrawide monitor with an 1800R curvature offering a 165 Hz refresh rate using the adaptive sync standard. It has a color gamut of 125% sRGB and comes factory calibrated with a DE of less than 2. For ports, it has DisplayPort 1.4, HDMI 2.0, and a USB Type-C with 65 watts of power delivery. For data, it has USB and even Ethernet docking for laptops and provides network over USB-C. The screen also includes a smart KVM switch. Next up, we have one of the most recent releases, the Samsung Odyssey OLED G9 or the G95SC. It is a 49-inch super ultrawide with a 5120 by 1440p resolution, a 240 Hz refresh rate, and is based on a QD-OLED panel from Samsung. Samsung talks about it having a 1,000,000:1 contrast ratio and a 0.03 millisecond response time. It sports FreeSync Premium Pro. This monitor will also have smart TV features, offering up Prime Video, Netflix, and YouTube through a smart hub, as well as its gaming hub allowing you to stream games from Xbox and Nvidia GeForce Now. The Odyssey OLED G9 monitor is now available for $2,199.99. Now that was all the CES monitors that came out in the last 6 months. Now let's talk about the ones that were announced and launched a little bit later in the year. Philips made a big splash with their Evnia monitors, launching two 34-inch Ultrawides, one OLED and one mini LED gaming monitor that are almost virtually indistinguishable from each other visually. The OLED is using the same QD-OLED panel that the Alienware, Samsung, and MSI monitors are using, and has almost the same specs at 3440 by 1440 resolution with a 175Hz refresh rate, a 0.03 millisecond response time. It does support a new VESA certified clear MR badge. As for connectivity, it has two HDMI 2.0 ports, one DisplayPort 1.4, and one USB-C with DP-Alt mode for video, data, and power delivery, with 4-port USB hub with 1 port supporting fast charging. It also has the nifty Ambi-Glow LEDs on the back of the panel. It's available now for $1299.99. The 34-inch mini LED version has a slightly lower 165Hz refresh rate, a 2.5 millisecond response time, and sports a 1152 dimming zones, cranking out 1400 nits of brightness, with a 3000:1 typical contrast ratio, and sports the same connectivity and Ambi-Glow as the OLED version. It's also available now for the same $1299.99. Moving on to LG, they have launched a new 49-inch monitor, the LG 49GR85DC. This is a 49-inch monitor with a 5120 by 1440p resolution with a 1000R curve, super ultra-wide display. It also has a high 240Hz refresh rate, a claimed 1 millisecond response time, and conforms to the VESA Display HDR 1000 standard. It's based on a VA technology panel, but despite the HDR claims, it doesn't appear that this model features any FLID or mini LED backlight. For connectivity, it has two HDMI 2.1 and one DisplayPort 1.4 with two USB-A ports. It's available now for $899.99, with the original price being $1299.99. Next up, we have the Dell UltraSharp U4924DW with a 49-inch ultrawide IPS black panel. It is a premium productivity monitor that is available now for $1359.99. The monitor is a 49-inch 5120 by 1440p 60Hz display with an IPS black panel which doubles the standard IPS contrast from 1000 to 2000 to 1. And it has very high color gamut with average color of RGB of 100% and 98% P3 coverage. It also comes with ports galore with two HDMI ports, one DisplayPort, one USB-C with display mode, and 90 watts of power delivery, one upstream USB-C 3.2 with a 5 USB-A 3.2 ports, and two USB-C downstream with 15 watts of charging, and an Ethernet jack, and a good old 3.5mm headphone jack. Next up, we have an AOC monitor. The AGON AG405UXC has an odd size and resolution combo, with a 40-inch screen and a 3440 by 1440p resolution, making for a pretty low pixel density of 93 ppi. It's a 144Hz with a claimed 1 millisecond response time, with VESA Display HDR 400 certification and a 1200:1 contrast ratio. It is adaptive sync now, but in the process of getting FreeSync Premium certified. As for connectivity, it has two HDMI 2.0 ports, one DisplayPort 1.4, and one USB-C with DP-Alt mode with 90 watts of charging, a 4-port USB-A port, and a headphone jack. It's available now for $775 or €569.99. Continuing with this odd resolution and size are a pair of monitors from Philips, the 40B1U5600 and the 40B1U5601H. These specs are largely identical between the two screens, but there are some extra features on the H model. Both are 40-inch 3440 by 1440p resolution with a 120Hz refresh rate, with a 4 millisecond gray-to-gray response time and a 1200:1 contrast ratio, with an 8-bit color depth, and the screen comes factory calibrated with a DE of less than 2. For connectivity, the screen features USB-C with DP-Alt mode and 100 watts of power delivery. There are also one DisplayPort 1.4, one HDMI 2.0 connection provided for video. There are 4x USB data ports, and also an additional USB-C with data and 15 watts power delivery, and a built-in KVM. For audio, the screens have two basic 5-watt integrated speakers and a headphone jack. The H model also features a DisplayPort out for simple daisy chaining, while also included on this model is an RJ45 Ethernet port for docking, and a built-in 5 megapixel webcam. available now for $649.99, £739.99 for the H model, but they are hard to find in stock. Philips has another 40-inch monitor, the 40B1U6903CH, with an actual decent resolution for the size at 5120 by 2160, with a subtle 2500R curve and a range of features aimed at business and productivity use. It has a built-in 5-megapixel webcam, noise-canceling microphone, and Thunderbolt 4 docking station. Its screen uses an IPS panel with a 4 millisecond gray-to-gray response time and 1000:1 contrast ratio, and 300 nits of brightness, as well as a 75 Hz refresh rate with adaptive sync, making it the fastest monitor of this resolution by 3 Hz. For connectivity, there are one DisplayPort 1.4 with DSCS and 2 HDMI 2.0s and 1x Thunderbolt 4 with DP alt mode, 90 watts of power delivery and data. PIP and PBP modes will be supported to handle multiple inputs on the large format screen, and it will also include a KVM function if you need it. There will also be one USB-C data port with 45 watts of power delivery and 4x USB data ports available as well as an audio output, mic input, and an Ethernet RJ45 connections. This model will be available for £1,499.99 or €1,849. It doesn't seem to be yet available in North America. Now, let's jump into the monitors that were announced during or after CES but have yet to be released. The MSI Project 491C was shown at Computex, but we still don't have a firm release date or price for it. But specs line up with the Samsung 49-inch OLED providing a 5120 by 1440p resolution, 240 Hz refresh rate, and 0.03 millisecond response time. Speaking of Samsung, we still have the behemoth that is the Samsung Odyssey Neo G95NC, a 57-inch super ultrawide with a massive resolution of 7680 by 2160 with a 240 Hz refresh rate and a quantum mini LED backlight with HDR certified 1000, requiring DisplayPort 2.1. No further information on this product has been released since its initial tease. Next up, we have the Acer Predator X34 V. This screen is a 34-inch size and has a 3440 by 1440p ultrawide format, an 1800R curvature, and is built around the Samsung QD-OLED panel, with near instant response times and near infinite contrast ratio. Acer quotes a 0.1 millisecond gray-to-gray response time and a 1,000,000:1 contrast ratio. It sports a 175 Hz refresh rate, just like all the other competing QD-OLEDs do. It supports adaptive sync for VRR and includes NVIDIA G-Sync compatibility and AMD FreeSync Premium certified. For connectivity, there are two DisplayPort 1.4, one HDMI 2.0, one USB-C with DP alt mode and 65 watts of power delivery, and two USB-A data ports. The back of the screen features some familiar RGB lighting, and there's a useful headphone hook on the back of the stand too. There are also integrated 5-watt speakers on this model. An audio output connection is also provided. The expected availability is Q4 2023 for $1,300 US. Now, we're going to peer into the future by looking at panel manufacturing roadmaps, thanks to TFT Central's excellent industry report, to see what monitors the future holds. First, we'll start with BOE's offerings. First up, we have a 34-inch ultrawide with 3440 by 1440 resolution, a flat format, and 165 Hz refresh rate, and HDR 1000 support. This has a 1,152 dimming zones and 4,608 LEDs and should be in mass production now. There are two other versions with curves of 1500R and 3800R in production already. Next is a 39.7-inch ultrawide with a 5120 by 2160 resolution, believed to be a flat format, 60 Hz refresh rate, and HDR 1000 support. Has 2,040 dimming zones and 8,160 LEDs and is scheduled for mass production in Q3 2023. And a speedier 39.7-inch ultrawide with 5120 by 2160 resolution, believed to be a flat format as well, at 144 Hz refresh rate and HDR 1400. This has a 2,040 dimming zones and 8,160 LEDs and is scheduled for mass production in Q3 2023 as well. Next, we have a 34-inch curved 1500R VA type technology with a 3440 by 1440 resolution, a 165 Hz refresh rate. This would have 1,152 dimming zones with 4,608 LEDs and was scheduled for production from April 2022. Next, we have a 44.5-inch curved ultrawide with a 1500R VA type panel with a 5120x1440p resolution and a 60Hz refresh rate and a 95 DCI-P3 gamut. This would have 1,152 dimming zones with 4,308 LEDs and was scheduled for production from March 2023. We have some exciting OLED panels planned by LG. And LG Display are planning to produce a 34-inch ultrawide panel with the same 3440x1440p resolution as Samsung offering, but with a higher 240Hz refresh rate. This will have either a 1000R or 800R curvature. This panel is listed for a Q1 2024 production. Next up is a 39-inch ultrawide with a 3440x1440 resolution and 240Hz refresh rate. A new screen size sitting in between their current 45-inch ultrawide and their planned new smaller 34-inch ultrawide. This 39-inch option has the same resolution and 240Hz refresh rate, but offers a slightly bigger format to increase immersion without the pixel density being as low as the 45-inch option. This will be a bendable format panel, so could be used in flat or curved or fully bendable monitors like the current 45-inch panel offering. This panel is listed for a Q1 2024 production. And lastly, for LG's OLEDs, we have a 45-inch ultrawide with high resolution 5120x2160 ultrawide and a 165Hz refresh rate. The refresh rate is lower than their current 240Hz 45-inch panel, but the resolution is significantly increased and should be far more suitable for all non-gaming uses. On a screen this large, this would also represent a step change in the pixel density of any of their WOLED panels, increasing from the current approximate of 105 to 110 ppi to around 123 ppi. This panel is not expected to be released for quite some time, although it is listed as being in production stage. As opposed to planning, it is tentatively listed for Q1 2025 at the moment, which seems an awfully long way off. Let's hope it's actually sooner. And from LG's LCD division, we have a 49-inch super ultrawide IPS black with a 5120x1440p resolution. This panel would be a new ultrawide format and a larger screen size for LG's IPS black technology. It would also have a subtle 3800R curvature and a 32:9 aspect ratio and sport the usual specs like a 98% DCI-P3 gamut and a 350 nits of brightness. It should be in production now as of Q1 2023. Next is a 37.5-inch ultrawide IPS black with a 3840x1600p resolution. This panel would also be a new ultrawide format and the large screen size displays for LG IPS black tech. It would also have a 2300R curvature and a 24:10 aspect ratio, and the usual specs like a 98% DCI-P3 gamut and a 300 nits of brightness. It should be in production now as of Q1 2023. This is great news as this size and resolution has been neglected for quite a bit now. As for Samsung's QD-OLED plans, we have a 34-inch ultrawide with 3440x1440p resolution and a 240Hz refresh rate. Built on their existing 175Hz panel option in this space, Samsung are intending to increase the refresh rate to 240Hz in a new panel. This would compete directly with LG Display's scheduled alternative and allow them to remain competitive in the 34-inch ultrawide OLED space. And finally, AOU have plans to produce a new panel with an aspect ratio of 21:9 and a resolution of 3440x1440, but this time with a higher 240Hz refresh rate. The M3440QVR03.7 will offer a 5 millisecond gray to gray response time, a 3000:1 contrast ratio, 8 bits of color depth, and a wide color gamut covering 95% of DCI-P3 color space. It's planned for Q3 2023 production. Thank you for watching. If you like ultrawide content, please like and subscribe so you can keep up with all the ultrawide news and performance. Now, if you are interested in any of these monitors, I've put as many links in the description as I could, as well as links to the articles about the panels. If you'd like to help this channel more directly, you can sign up for my Patreon, or you can use the Amazon affiliate links in the description below, or you can always just keep watching my videos. I'm Scott, and I'll see you next time, ultrawide fans.